What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. In today's video, we are going to get into some comments made by Aaron Rodgers on his young center, Joe Tippmann, and why I think that's a good thing for not only 2024, but beyond for the New York Jets. So Aaron Rodgers had some very high praise for New York Jets sophomore or second season center Joe Tippmann during his conversation with Adam Shine last week. Let's roll the clip.
Allowing Joe Tippmann, our draft pick, who played a decent amount for us at both guard and center, to just focus on center. He's a really smart guy with a great personality, I think, who can kind of galvanize that team, even though he's a young guy, but galvanize the line, get those guys rolling. He's a really intelligent guy.
Okay, here's the quote that stands out to me. He's a really smart guy with a great personality who I think can kind of galvanize that team, even though he's a young guy, but galvanize the line and get those guys rolling. He's really an intelligent guy. Last year, when he was entering the NFL draft, the thing that I kept going back to, or something that kept coming up is probably a better way of saying it, in his scouting reports were that he was extremely smart and had a high football IQ. Now, that is really, really important for a center to have. Why? Because center is arguably the offensive line spot with the most responsibility, calling out protections, making assignments. They are really the leader of the offensive line. And sure, like with the Jets in particular, they have two very veteran tackles in Morgan Moses at right tackle and Tyron Smith at left tackle. They, by default, are going to be leaders on that offensive line and as a unit. But Joe Tippmann has to kind of take that next step as the center and really take over a leadership role because he has a lot of responsibility as the center. This is also going to be the first year where he is completely locked into a position. Last year, he bounced between guard and center, which I like that he has the flexibility to do that. But with both Elijah Vera-Tucker and Joe Tippmann, the New York Jets have them in a role, and they're going to leave them there. Some were surprised with Joe Tippmann being a center for this team long-term because of his size. At 6'6", he is an outlier in terms of height as a center. Usually the center is kind of on the smaller side in height, at least, and a little bit more like lower to the ground. They need to keep a certain level of, they need to keep a certain pad level. And for a taller lineman at 6'6", that's a very big challenge. So a lot of people looked at Joe Tippmann and said, you know what, this guy's probably a guard at the next level, not a center. But a big reason for why he played center in college and why the New York Jets like him to be their center of the future is because of that high football IQ. He absolutely has the smarts to do it, which that's a very important piece to this. The athleticism is off the charts, as we know. That's a big reason why the New York Jets drafted him. He moves well in space, but he needs to be able to handle the pressure that comes with being a center at the NFL level, number one. And then number two is he needs to command that room and really be a leader on this offensive line. In year two, yeah, that's going to be tough because you have, as I mentioned, your two starting tackles are 33-year-old veterans who have a ton of success in this league. You also have Elijah Vera-Tucker, who is heading into his fourth season in the league and is, someone who is well respected, a quality player when he's healthy. But Joe Tippmann, in my opinion, not only just for this year, but for the future of this team, needs to take over as being that leader in the center group. The Jets have been looking for a long-term answer at the position ever since Nick Mangold retired, and really going back to almost 2016, 8 years ago, because Mangold was banged up his final year. And then beyond that, there was a rotating cast of characters in 2017, 18, and then Connor McGovern eventually comes in here in, what was that? I believe the 2020 season. And Connor McGovern was okay. At moments, I think he was overrated by some Jet fans. And in other moments, I think he was actually underrated. He's like an okay level starting center, but not a long-term answer. Stopgap. He ended up starting games for this team over the course of 4 seasons, but not really again, someone where you're like, that we're building our offensive line around the Connor McGovern. And the Joe Tippmann is one of these guys that I think you could build the offensive line around, and the Jets have now a really nice young core on this line. It's supplemented by veteran talent at the tackle spots, but with Olu at left tackle, you're hoping he's the long-term future there. Elijah Vera-Tucker moving back in at guard and hopefully remaining healthy. And then Joe Tippmann. That's 3 young guys on this offensive line that you hope learn and grow together. And who knows, maybe Carter Warren. I think if my guess at what the New York Jets plan is, I think they want Carter Warren to win that starting right tackle job at some point this year. Obviously, Morgan Moses is going to come in, but I think they want Warren to continue to develop and take over as that right tackle. But anyway, moral of the story is the Jets do have a young group on the offensive line, and if Joe Tippmann ends up being the leader of that group, that's exactly what they need. But some high praise from Aaron Rodgers on Joe Tippmann, which usually the thought around Aaron Rodgers is he prefers the veterans on the offensive line and at the wide receiver room because he feels like he could trust them a little bit more than the younger players. But some high praise for Joe Tippmann, who is heading into a very important second season. And I am excited to watch him kind of just get in his position and learn and continue to grow. But let me know your thoughts on Joe Tippmann down below in the comments. That's going to do it for me in this video. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. Leave a like before you go, and I'll catch you next time.